Hey everybody, this is Brad Kilgore here, preacher for the Sail Creek Church of Christ. I just want to do a video today about some I guess you could call it some revelations on discoveries, some things I found out more about, learning about K.C. Moser, this man from about the 50s and 60s, a preacher in the Church of Christ who he had a couple of books put out that were on grace and called The Way of Salvation and The Gist of Romans. And you know, I've done a video on this before, and you know, I disagree with his teachings, and I believe this is a matter of salvation. And so you know, it's a serious matter. You know, the Bible says in Ephesians chapter 2 verses 8 and 9, "For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast." And so the point there is that if somebody misunderstands grace, that's a serious matter. That can cause you to lose your salvation. But the reason I'm doing this video is because I want to kind of explain some things that I've learned and how some things that have come to light as far as this whole thing. You'll remember, and this was a while back, this was probably over a year ago, I did a video where I was talking about Nathan Razor and his book, Christ Our Righteousness. Now, Nathan Razor's a preacher out of Michigan, and you know, I did a video where I had a conversation with him with my disagreements about his teaching on salvation, which is also, again, a salvation issue, and we disagree about that. And so, you know, after all that happened and everything, and after we talked about that, you know, I kind of let it die down because I saw no really need to go further into it. I felt like I did it justice by having a conversation with him and putting the video out and expressing my disagreements and everything like that. Now, I say all that to say this. I did not know anything hardly about K.C. Moser at that time, whenever I was talking with Nathan about that. And so later on, I saw where another preacher, Caleb Robertson, preacher out of the Virginias, he had put some links in one of his Facebook posts in a book about K.C. Moser. And so as I checked it out, and I had heard about him before, but I didn't really know much about him. So I checked out the link and I started doing research, and I actually bought the books. And though I did not read the books in entirety, you know, the research I did and the chapters that I read in the books, the parts of the chapters that I read, it's obvious that he teaches error on salvation, on grace, and he doesn't understand the doctrine of works and grace and faith and law and how that all goes together. And not only that, he teaches that Christ's perfect righteousness is imputed to Christians. That's what K.C. Moser taught. And so after doing all this research and doing all this, I contacted Caleb, you know, and just to give him a heads up, I wasn't trying to, you know, come down on him or nothing. And so, you know, he told me to read the books, and he didn't want to go any further unless I read the entire books. Now, let me say this. I'm not going to spend my time reading those entire books. I mean, I might someday, but I'm busy with my ministry and doing other things. I don't have time to sit and read every book that I feel has things in it that are wrong, that are that's error. You know, you don't have to read that entire book to know that he teaches false doctrine. It'd be like, again, and I've said this before, if somebody doesn't have to read the entire book, The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, to know that he's an atheist, that you know, that's made clear in his book. You can just read statements from the book. But anyways, you're wondering, why am I saying all this? The reason I'm saying all this is because as I was doing the research on K.C. Moser, I just simply typed in K.C. Moser in Google or something one day, and guess who popped up? Nathan Razor popped up, and he has a video where he is endorsing K.C. Moser. And so, you know, as far as Nathan and Caleb go, they're as different as daylight is from dark, as far as their style and, in my opinion, is evangelism and all that. But my whole point is this: my whole disagreement and the conflict here is not so much you'll see, you know, the problem stems, you can see where it's coming from. It's coming from K.C. Moser and his teachings. You know, his book, when he put that out, the church, Sound Brethren, have already dealt with this years back. The church has already taken care of this. His teachings are being resurrected by brethren, preachers today. They're uncovering these old books, and he's already been refuted. And again, my videos are not meant to be a book review of K.C. Moser. It's just simply to show where all the confusion today in the church is coming from works and grace and law. And so, you know, it's a shame, it's sad that the church is fumbling with this today, whenever this has been taken care of. And so I just wanted to put this video out to let people know that if you're hearing a lot of confusion today on this subject, a lot of it's stemming from K.C. Moser, and K.C. Moser has passed away. And I don't mean this to be any disrespect to him or anybody that I mentioned in this video. In that sense, I have no ill will towards anybody that I've mentioned. My prayer and hope is that brethren can see the truth about this, and that they can succeed in their ministry and move on and do good things for the Lord. And so, but anyways, I just wanted to put this video out, and if you want to see a good explanation of grace, faith, law, and works, I have a sermon up whenever I was preaching at Graysville, and it's entitled An Overview of the Book of Romans. It explains I believe in very good detail, the correct view of that. But anyways, I just wanted to put this out, and you know, just as a warning about K.C. Moser and especially Calvinism getting into the church too. That's another thing that's creeping into the church. But anyways, if you're a faithful member of the Church of Christ, if you're watching this, be careful about what you read, what you endorse. You're gonna check it out with the Bible. And here's another thing: if you're a preacher, especially if you're a preacher or a teacher, and you don't feel like you understand the subject well enough, if you don't feel like that you have it down pat, that's not necessarily a real bad thing, I would say, I guess. I mean, you are a preacher, but you don't have to preach on it until you feel like you've got it down. You know, to talk about it, to elaborate and to expound upon it in detail, it takes a lot of study. And so if you don't feel like you're there, just, my advice is to wait until you preach on it. But anyways, I hope this video has helped you, and I appreciate you watching, and have a nice day.